Welcome back, MTG Burgeoning community and YouTube viewing audience. If you are still chilling with the latter and haven't joined the former, you can change that by clicking that subscribe button right now. By doing so, you become eligible for all of this channel's awesome reward series, all of which you can peruse in the description below. As the playmat would indicate, today is Sunday. That is Sunday Fun Day, and we are continuing our budget sliver build with our favorite changeling commander, Morophon the Boundless. Hello, Burgeonites. Welcome back. MTG Burgeoning is here, and we are going to continue our series of building around our favorite general changeling. That's Morophon the Boundless, with one commander deck already in our back pockets through Morophon, which was our Human Legends build. We are going to install the last of our spells in our budget sliver deck today. So Morophon the Boundless is inching closer and closer to a second deck of which he will pilot. Before we get into the new cards to be added today as we break the bank on our last few spells, these are the cards that have already been included in this budget sliver build. And if you missed any of the previous installments of this series, you can click on the links below to bring you right up to speed. First, we're going to introduce the slivers. Spectral, Cleaving, Predatory, Megantic, Sentinel, Shadow, Winged, Frenzy, Leeching, Belligerent, Heart, Virulent, Striking, Tempered, Quilled, Mnemonic, Basil, Dregscape, Hollowhead Sliver, Manaweft, Quick, Crypt, Spiteful, Acidic, Lava Belly, and those were the slivers. Orzhov Signet, Boros Signet, Izzet Signet, Simic Signet, Golgari Signet, Kodama's Reach, Cultivate, Rampant Growth, Expedition Map, Commander's Sphere, Simic Charm, D-Spark, Mortify, Putrefy, Mythos of Nethroi, Oblivion Ring, Nevinyrral's Disc, Chain Reaction, Winds of Wrath, Sublime Exhalation, Mirror of the Forebears, Biomancer's Familiar, Distant Melody, Factor Fiction, Regrowth, Mythos of Brachos, Apheto Dredging, Return from Extinction, Etchings of the Chosen, Obelisk of Erd. So these were the spells that have already been included in this budget build, and today with the last of our spells, we break the bank. Each one of these spells that we've already quickly reviewed are all under $1. I tasked the MTG Burgeoning community to create a list of bank-breaking spells that we can include in this budget build that range, brace yourselves, between $1 and $2.50. I know, right? We really caused some anxiety by increasing the budget there. Well, here were some suggestions, and these are the cards that we are going to include. Bam! Soul Ring. It fits in between the $1 and $2.50 range. It's the best artifact in the format. It's the most played card. Our commander is colorless. Let's put a Soul Ring in there. Number 2, Arcane Signet. Second best artifact in the format, and I mean just slotting in at under $2.50. That was a bit of a stretch. Thank you so much, Commander Legends. Card number 3, Shared Summons, an instant tutor that was just made for our format. 3 in double green. We search our library for up to 2 creature cards with different names, reveal them, and put them into our hand. Do we need some utility slivers? Shared Summons gets them. Do we need some power and toughness boosting slivers, shared summons gets them. At instant speed, end of opponent's turn, shared summons is awesome. Still cannot believe that card is under $1. Next up, we have Radiant Destiny. It's an enchantment from Rivals of Ixalan, 2 and a white. It has the Ascend mechanic, which means if we control 10 or more permanents, we get the City's Blessing for the rest of the game. As Radiant Destiny enters the battlefield, we choose a creature type, Slivers, of course. Creatures we control of the chosen type, Slivers, of course, get +1/+1. If we have the City's Blessing, they also have Vigilance. So we're not running a token build here. We're not playing Hive Stirrings. We're not playing with Sliver Queen, of course, because this is a budget build. So we're not playing with any Sliver tokens. So you may wonder, why don't we just include Always Watching? It doesn't need to have the Ascend mechanic to give our creatures Vigilance. And it comes in and gives all the creatures we control +1/+1. Plus, it's cheaper than Radiant Destiny from a budgetary standpoint. Well, here's the reason why. I decided to lean towards Radiant Destiny because of the 2 generic mana and the 1 white. We are playing 5-color budget, and that's going to be a challenge when it comes to mana fixing. So as many spells as we can include in this deck that only have a single mana symbol of each color in their casting cost, the better off we're going to be. As it stands, with the addition of these cards, the entire spell list of our deck have exactly 2 cards with double mana symbols. Because of that, I thought breaking the bank and pushing Radiant Destiny a little bit more than Always Watching, which is 1 and double white, it's just going to make our deck seem a little smoother, a little easier to cast. So that's why Radiant Destiny is sitting in this pile and Always Watching is not. Next up, in a perfect card for this deck as a finisher, as some cantrips, as some protection, it's Return of the Wild Speaker. 4 and a green. It provides us with an option to select one of the 2 following modes. We draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures we control, which we have Slivers, so we don't have to worry about not having a non-human. Or non-human creatures we control get +3/+3 until end of turn. So Return of the Wild Speaker could fill our hand with cards, or it could act as a game ender. I'm surprised that that's not more valuable. I was very happy to come across that card, seeing that it fit our $1 to $2.50 range. Speaking of protection, our next card is a welcomed addition as a way in which to keep our Slivers safe from harm. And we're going to Shadows over Innistrad for this card, and that's going to be Eerie Interlude. For 2 and a white, we exile any number of target creatures we control, and then we return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So we can prevent our boys from getting wiped out. We can just protect them. It's a great way to keep our Slivers out of the graveyard or out of exile. An Eerie Interlude, yes, it fits in between $1 and $2.50. All right, we're down to our last 3 cards. We are only adding 9 cards here so that we can leave 35 slots open for our land base. And we're going back to where we started, and we're going to add 3 more Slivers. And these Slivers, again, they have to fit in between $1 and $2.50, and they got to be valuable enough to include, which means they better bring the tribal synergy, and I really think they do. Let's start with Sinew Sliver. Sinew Sliver is Predatory Sliver number 2. It's 1 and a white. It's a 1/1. It gives all Slivers +1/+1. It's not exactly what Predatory Sliver does, because Predatory Sliver says Sliver creatures we control get +1/+1. So as long as we're not sitting at the table with other Sliver players, we can consider Sinew Sliver to be Predatory Sliver number 2. Following the theme of Predatory Sliver, Sinew Sliver, let's go where it all began, and that's with Muscle Sliver. 1 and a green, all Slivers get +1/+1. So everything that was said about Sinew Sliver, apply it right to Muscle Sliver. And these 2 lords are going to help buff our army and send our opponents hopefully shuffling up for the next game. And the last card added, the last spell, bringing our deck total up to 64, and Morophon is 65, leaving a land base of 35 lands. The Cloud Shredder Sliver. Modern Horizons is such a godsend to Slivers players, and the first Sliver gets so much attention. It's the Mythic, it gives Cascade, it is ridiculously powerful, but Cloud Shredder Sliver should not be overlooked. It is undervalued, it is underloved. This takes Heart Sliver, which is 1 in a red, and takes Winged Sliver, which is 1 in a blue, or Gale Rider Sliver, which is just 1 blue, but way out of our price range, takes the haste of Heart Sliver with a CMC of 2, and the flying of Winged Sliver with a CMC of 2, puts them together for a red and a white. And Sliver creatures we control have flying and haste. Cloud Shredder Sliver, in my opinion, is one of the most valuable Slivers to add to a deck after the legendary Slivers. I'm happy to be able to include Cloud Shredder Sliver as spell number 64, and that brings the spell list to its completion. All that's left is we must install the land base, and in doing so, we must keep in mind we are still running on a budget. We do have multiple spells that get basic lands out of our library and into our hand or onto the battlefield. So although the majority of our land base will be basic lands, we have room for some non-basic options to help smooth out the mana and fix our colors. We should still employ what we did with our previous 55 cards here and make sure that none of the lands we include are over $1. Leave any suggestions that you may have for any of these basic lands in the comment section below or over on MTG Burgeoning's tappedout.net page. This is MTG Burgeoning. This is Sunday Fun Day, and we are going to finish our budget sliver build next week.